The esoteric name for human beings in the Rosicrucian tradition is that we are spirits of love and freedom. For human beings, our spiritual power is based on creating the perfect balance between love, which unifies us with other beings, allowing us to merge with them, and, on the other hand, freedom, which gives us the ability to be independent and make our own choices in crafting our lives. It is this dynamic balancing of love and freedom which gives us our greatest challenges in this lifetime. From our original divine essence, as a microcosmic emanation of the One, the Godhead, we then individualize into a unique spiritual being in the universe. Our individual experiences form our unique self, our personality. Just as all snowflakes are crystallized water, so every human being is crystallized spirit. Just as every snowflake has a completely unique geometric form, so every human being has a unique geometric form of their subtle bodies, making every person an irreplaceable, unique work of art in the cosmos. It is said in the European Rosicrucian tradition that just as our earthly religions are based on higher spiritual beings, so the religion of higher spiritual beings is in fact the human race. We are their hope for the future. We are their children who are suffering and struggling through our cosmic adolescence to become unique cosmic beings. Our goal is to complete the alchemical crystallization of our individual spirit, and then to become an independent, creative free agent in the cosmos. A future that is a perfect balance of loving service and radical freedom. A future of almost unimaginable adventures, explorations, challenges, and pleasures in cosmic worlds which we barely glimpse today. We need to remember this great spiritual future is what we are working towards when we get bogged down in the suffering and density of everyday physical life. Beings who are relatively young in the cosmic ranks of beings, such as the human race, may require living in very dense physicalized conditions in order to become fully self-aware. And so the patterns of energy and consciousness which make up the higher worlds, the higher planes, crystallize into solid physical matter to create a kind of nursery for young beings like ourselves. We introduce the sacred geometry structures which stand behind this physical crystallization process back in episode 1 as the net matrix of all creation, which was taught in ancient Egypt, India, and other cultures. This hidden sacred geometry net behind the crystallization of the physical world from higher energies was known to ancient traditions to be linked to the Platonic solids, the forms of the 5 elements. The Platonic duals of earth and air, the cube of earth and the octahedron of air, are key patterns for the crystallization of the physical world. The physical world is based on 3 dimensions of space, each one of them an axis at 90 degrees to the other 2 axes. This is the sacred geometry form of the cubical cross. The cube is known in the esoteric tradition as the key to the secret of creating the physical world. The cube is the hidden form behind the 3-dimensional physical plane. The cube is a sealed alchemical retort into which young spiritual beings, ourselves, are placed so that we can undergo the needed evolutionary processes to become fully self-aware. This alchemical chamber, needed to form young spirits into their higher potential, is referred to in Western esotericism as the cube of space. Because of this, we find the cube embedded deeply into multiple spiritual traditions. The cube, usually a black cube, is used throughout classical esotericism to represent the earth as the sealed alchemical chamber. In Judaism, the Holy of Holies in the Temple of Solomon is described in the Old Testament as having the form of a perfect cube. In the Jewish tradition, the black cube is ritually strapped onto men 13 years of age and older through spiral windings of straps. Jewish women are not required to do this practice, but many have chosen to do this ritual in both ancient and modern times. In Judaism, this black cube takes the form of small black leather boxes called tefillin, which contain verses from the Torah. There is one which goes onto the upper arm, so that the strap is spiral wound around the arm, hand, and fingers. There is also the head tefillin, which is placed on the forehead. In Islam, the black cube of the Kaaba is in the center of the holy city of Mecca. Every Muslim is expected to make the pilgrimage to the Kaaba and ritually walk 7 circles around it, at least once in their lifetime. In Christianity, the alchemically perfected form of the earth is the New Jerusalem, which is described in the book of Revelation as being in the form of a perfect cube. In geometry, each of the Platonic solids can be deconstructed into a 2-dimensional form called a net. When the cube is deconstructed into its 2-dimensional net, it unfolds to become the cross. The black cube thus creates the sealed alchemical chamber of our 3-dimensional world, which opens up to become the black cross of our dense physical body. The European Rosicrucians hold deep esoteric initiation knowledge within Christianity, using as their symbol the image of the black cross with 7 red roses. This geometric symbol shows that the black cross of our painful incarnation into a physical body, with all of its initiation trials and challenges, is the foundation for the flowering and perfection of the 7 chakra subtle energy centers in the human body. These are the red roses coming from the black cross through this initiation process of our physical incarnation. This is part of the ongoing structuring of our subtle bodies into a perfected geometric form, until our consciousness and our energy are activated to the point that we can remain fully conscious in the spiritual world after we set aside the physical body at death. This is the true resurrection of esoteric Christianity, with the corruptible physical body giving way to the perfected light body for every human being who completes the initiation process. This same mystery is taught in Eastern traditions with the development of the light body and the rainbow body. The esoteric tradition knows that just as every incarnated human being has a physical body on the physical plane in addition to subtle bodies which are connected to higher planes, so also the planets and stars also have their physical crystallizations in addition to their subtle bodies on higher plane levels. When we are between death and rebirth, living in only our subtle bodies and moving towards our next incarnation in the physical body, we move through spiritual spheres, which are the stars and planets at their higher plane levels. These were known to ancient traditions as the planetary spheres, by which they meant the subtle energy layers around the planet and not the physical planet itself. This profound reality has been forgotten today in our materialistic society, which says the ancients were simply ignorant when they presented models of the world in which the Earth was at the center, with the planets moving around it, what is called today the Ptolemaic worldview. Modern science looks only at the physical aspect, where the sun is in the center with the planets revolving around it. Modern scientists don't understand that the old Earth-centered view was originally based on the actual spiritual experience that every human spirit has when we move through the subtle energy planetary spheres before we incarnate on the Earth. It is based on our own spiritual experiences moving into the Earth sphere from the cosmos, where the Earth is the center of our destination, not on the physical plane mechanics of planets moving around the sun. As every human being descends in their subtle bodies from the higher stars down into the subtle energy net of our own solar system, we go through an incredible journey, which the Jewish Kabbalistic tradition called the Hechaloth, meaning the 7 heavenly halls. The 7 heavenly halls are our journey through the subtle energy levels of the 7 classical planets of our solar system, from Saturn on the outer edge to the moon directly adjacent to the Earth, as we move towards incarnating into a physical body on the Earth. These 7 heavenly halls were illustrated in ancient Egypt in the Book of Coming Forth into Light, which we call today the Egyptian Book of the Dead. In the Jewish Kabbalistic tradition, the Hechaloth school of the 2nd century A.D. described this passage through the 7 heavenly halls and practiced methods of conscious astral travel through the halls through the use of our activated subtle bodies, which they termed the Merkaba or Merkaba. The Merkaba is sometimes translated into English as a chariot, as in the biblical chariots of fire. This term was interpreted by materialistic religious artists as literal wheels within wheels, when in fact what was being described as a wheel is a spinning vortex, which is the sacred geometry form which creates movements from one location or one plane level to another. This description of a higher level energy vortex as a wheel is similar to the Indian tradition, where the term chakra for the spinning vortex of our major energy centers is literally the word for wheel in Sanskrit. The wheel within a wheel is in reality a vortex within a vortex. This vortex of movement through higher worlds is also connected to what people in near-death experiences describe as the tunnel they pass through as they leave their physical body. The tunnel is the experience of actually being inside the vortex, moving through higher worlds.